Heroes Forge, a Heroes of the Storm podcast.
What's going on, Forgers? Welcome to Season 3, Episode number 104 of Heroes Forge, a community-driven podcast all about Heroes of the Storm. As always, this podcast is brought to you by our outstanding supporters on patreon.com/HeroesForge. This is your show host, Jeff Reynolds, and I'm here with the co-host of the show, who this week is more awesome than an extended happy hour. It's Kristen, Ashton.
How long was the longest extended happy hour you've ever been to?
I think it extended much longer than I remember.
Well, that's it, right? You get past the point of remembering, and that it just stays happy hour, right? Because you can't remember when it ended, if it even ended. It just kept going.
Manager special. Just if you ever stay at an Embassy Suites, I think it's 5 o'clock every day at an Embassy Suites. They got this thing called Manager Special, where you can go down and get yourself some free drinks and nachos.
No, wait, can you have it delivered to your room, or do they actually make you work for it?
You know, as bougie as Embassy Suites is, you do have to go down and pick it up yourself. It is not delivered to your room.
Okay, and I like that word bougie. I've never actually heard that used, but that's great. That's a wonderful descriptor, right? Because you could use that pinky up, high bourgeoisie kind of thing, but bougie, right?
It must be a Southern California thing, because all we say down here is the word bougie for some reason. I mean, I say other words, but they're never as important as when I say bougie.
Well, that's it, right? The word hasn't quite made it outside of Southern California, but now that we've heard it, our listeners have heard it, it's going to start spreading, and pretty soon you'll see it online when BuzzFeed has picked it up and we go rip bougie. It was fun while it lasted.
That's right. You've all been infected with bougie. And so say the word. Say it loud, say it proud. All right, let's talk about some really important things right off the top of the show here. We're having a show time change. That's right. Over the last 2 years, we've been doing the show in the evening on Sundays, but we're changing it up. We're changing it up a little bit. We're going to start doing it at high noon. Time of no shadows, I like to call it.
It's the best time. Although, sadly, I can't really say that up here with the sun at the angle as it is. It's less shadow, sure, but for you in Southern California, isn't every time no shadow time?
That's right. There is no sadness, no shadows down here in Southern California, but we will be bringing the show to you live at 12 o'clock noon Pacific on Sundays at twitch.tv/Amove TV. If you're listening to the podcast recording of this on your favorite podcasting app, no worries. You'll just get it a little sooner now. You can listen to it on Sunday night rather than on Monday morning. But if you usually join us for the live broadcast, don't miss the show because we'll be recording it a ton hours earlier at high noon on Sundays. And the reason we're doing that, Kristen, is because we want to keep the entertainment flowing for all of our listeners out there.
Exactly. We start you off with some Heroes Forge. We all get warmed up, comfortable with the day. And then boom, after we're done, we rush on over to twitch.tv/Kyle Ferguson and we play Divinity Original Sin 2, where you have taken an interesting respect turn. You are now an animal man of sorts.
That's right. Lots of crazy stuff is happening in that stream. It has been incredible. If you haven't seen it, you need to go over there and check it out. That's at Sunday at 2 o'clock Pacific on twitch.tv/Kyle Ferguson. Check it out. We are venturing deeper into the depths of this game, and it has been, I think we're like 50 hours in or something crazy already, and we aren't even scratching the surface, and it's so fun.
It is, and I am in love with the game's story because it's a god story that I've never come across before. The gods started out as these benevolent things, right? But as you learn more about them, the less you respect them. Today, if it's true, they may not even be gods. They created humans as cattle, and then they were created from minor elementals that decided to get together to form a greater being? What?
Yeah, it definitely got weird today. It got really weird, but what doesn't ever cease to amaze me is the amount of options and fun stuff that's in this game, Divinity Original Sin 2. Pick it up, play it with your friends. It's a ton of fun, and at least catch the stream on Sundays. Firebat, Kristen, have you gotten there? Have you played some Blaze?
Yes, I have. And he's a ton of fun, but I feel like you need a buddy with you to help trap whoever Blaze is trying to take down.
Yeah, I haven't figured it out. Been playing with my friends. I love the concept of Blaze, the idea of this ranged tank, the idea of the fire. It's so cool. The voice lines are great. I love the animations are so cool. But I haven't really figured out the combo yet, how to make this work. I felt the same way with Zarya, though, when Zarya first came out, and I think it's the same sort of problem having this ranged tank. You need the right combo to make this thing happen, and what we're used to is somebody up in front, taking all the damage and, the traditional look at how to tank, and it's been difficult with Blaze for me.
Oh, I'm sure. I mean, because you're chucking things at people, so you need range, right? Which means he's not really a front line. Although I will say, his healing when he stands in his fire, you can't kill him. He just keeps healing from the fire. We fought a Blaze. 5 of us were on him, and it took at least a minute to kill this guy.
It's great, isn't it? It's great. Tons of cool stuff. And of course, like we talked about last week, the skins are off the chart. Speaking of all this hype that's going on, have you seen the tweets recently from the Heroes of the Storm team? I think over the last 2 days, I think they're starting to brew up some announcements coming.
It seems like some secrets are being dropped. I know on the launcher, at least, there was that cartoon image of an attack on Neo something. I think the translation read not Neo something, but like one of Neo Stormwind.
Yeah, I think it was Neo Stormwind too, which is really, really interesting. Like, are we getting a new map? Is it going to be like the World of Warcraft map we've always wanted but didn't know? And it's like a futuristic alternate universe version of Stormwind? How cool. I'm down for that.
Right, and they have the Mexicans coming out too, so maybe there's just going to be a giant robot thing that happens that pays homage to all of those anime that many of us grew up with.
Oh, it would be so cool. If you have ideas on what you think they're going to announce, I mean, I think we don't have very long. Usually when they start dropping these images, they drop them, and then on the 3rd or 4th day, they tell us what they're going to announce. So I'm stoked. I'm stoked to hear about it. I mean, there's so much going on. I mean, Overwatch League, right? I mean, I know that probably a lot of people that listen to this show, and you yourself included, Kristen, in this, I think that we recognize how big of a moment that this is, the Overwatch League. But I think that the world doesn't recognize it yet, and I think they won't for a while. But I do think that in 10 years from now, we're going to look back and be like, Overwatch League is where esports took off. Like, this is where it's starting.
Oh, interesting. So you're going to say, so starting as in this is where it becomes pop culture-y more so than the niche stuff like Dota 2?
I absolutely think that. I mean, I see it with like Boston Uprising. The New England Patriots tweeted out a good luck, have fun to the Boston Uprising. I mean, this is going to get some traction. I think this is really going to pick it up. Personally, Overwatch is not my favorite esport to watch. I think it's really hard to follow in a lot of ways. So I'm hoping that, and with some of the changes that they've made, it's made it a lot better. But I'm hoping that they make some more changes to make it even easier to watch. But I'm telling you, it's going to get people hooked. It's going to get people that watch these traditional sports teams. They're going to get their passion for their home team going. I think it's going to blow up.
And you hit the nail on the head right there, right? This is going to be the first, I think this is the first esport where you have town teams. And that's maybe the bridge that was needed, right? You may not understand Overwatch, but you understand city pride. Like when the Seattle Seahawks go to the Super Bowl, it doesn't matter if you follow football in Seattle or the surrounding area. What matters is that you live in that area and you're just as excited as everybody else because that's your hometown team representing us. They're a part of you to the world, as it were.
Yeah, totally. And I think that, I think they've got a really good formula for success here. I think that they're taking a lot of what people like, the trading aspects, the team rosters, holding people into specific teams and keeping that all, together from our traditional sports teams. And I think we're just seeing that in here. So people that are familiar with those other formats of gaming, so to speak, when you're playing football and all those sorts of things, are going to just fall right into place, and they're going to love it. And it's going to be cool. So it took off. It just started this last week. So check it out. Overwatch League, they made a 2-year deal with Twitch. So you can watch all of the Overwatch League games on twitch.tv and pick your favorite team. Find your home team. Find the one that's closest to you. Maybe where you grew up. Maybe where you'd like to live. Maybe you find a cool player that you like to follow. It's got some cool stuff. So switching gears completely here, I still can't get enough of the Hearthstone dungeon runs.
I think I play through as far as I can once a day, just because it's so much fun. It's so relaxing. I'm sure I'm not the only one out there, but I don't play Hearthstone enough to play against other people and feel comfortable. So there's a lot of anxiety out there. And when I want to calm down at the end of the day, the last thing I want to do is face off against some griefer who keeps saying hello until I squelch them, right? 5 minutes in, and then they own me with some deck with cards I've never even seen before. But with the dungeon runs, they're just computers, and you can sit there and take your time, and the decks you get are randomized, so it's great.
Yeah, it's a great tool to learn how to play Hearthstone. I think it also helps you get all of the basic cards. If you're just coming into Hearthstone, you can play all of your heroes throughout the dungeon run. You don't have to win a bunch. You can just play and play and play, and eventually you'll get all the basic cards. You can level up your heroes in this mode. You can find out what type of synergies you want to play, what type of synergies you'd like to play in Constructed if you ever make your way over there. And it's fun, and it's challenging. It's hard as hell. I mean, it is hard.
Yeah, I generally get to about 7 or 8. And I've also learned, speaking of synergy, we all make this mistake. We're like, oh, this option would go great with this option. What if I build a stealth deck? Everything I have is stealthed as a warrior. Oh, and what about these taunts? What about this Arthas taunt? Surely this won't go wrong. Oh, it went wrong. So wrong.
Yeah, there's some treasures in there that can really mess you up if you pick those specific treasures. But you only figure it out as you play it. I mean, and we talked about the Rod of Roasting last week and how cool that idea is. I mean, there's a ton of different stuff inside of the dungeon runs that are really fun. And one of the biggest things are the bosses.
Yes, these bosses, for as little as you know about them, each one has this very distinct and clear personality.
Yeah, I think that's really brilliant, the fact that they just do. Because, it's hard enough to come up with, there's something crazy like 20 bosses or something, and they all have different abilities and different things that make them powerful and OP and all this stuff. And now not only do they come up with all of those different abilities and decks for all of those bosses, but they come up with actual characters for them that live on. I mean, there's stuff in there that's just so entertaining. I find myself laughing out loud.
Oh, and this week very much mimics that, because this week is my personal favorite boss from the Kobolds and Catacombs, mostly because each time I get him, and I get him as a warrior all the time, probably 95% of the runs, I have this Candlebeard guy, and he usually always starts it with this adorable little "trigger me diggers" or "flick me wicks." I love it.
It's great. And you guessed it, folks. We're forging Candlebeard from Hearthstone dungeon runs from Kobolds and Catacombs. You're probably familiar with Candlebeard and all of his crazy exploits inside of the dungeon run. But if you're not, let's hear a little intro, Kristen. Give us a little background of what we know. The extensive lore of this character, Candlebeard.
Strap in, everyone. I mean, this is at least 5 hours we're going into. Appearing in Hearthstone's Kobolds and Catacombs, Candlebeard is a dungeon boss famous for giving his cards charge. While manageable at rank 1, the real fun starts when he hits rank 2 and gets the ability for free. Though little is known about this petite pirate, King Togwaggle tells us that Candlebeard thinks finding buried treasure, quote, make Kobold a pirate, end quote.
That's it, folks. That's all we know. And that's some of the best forging that we do on this show, is when we don't know. We can just make it up and have a ton of fun and just go crazy. So Candlebeard is it, and I think the main thing that we want to touch on here is that he is famous for giving his minions charge, right? That's his deal. You're charging straight into battle.
Yes. So with this, it makes him a very challenging guy because charge means as soon as you play the card, it can attack. Now, normally you play a card, you have to wait a turn before you can attack with it. But charge, you immediately get it. So he's kind of got this one up on you. And the real struggle is gaining control of the board. Once you have control of that board, it's not a big deal. But the uphill climb is a slippery slope.
It is, and depending on when you face Candlebeard in the dungeon run, if you face him early on in the dungeon run, he has to pay to give his minions charge with mana. If you face him later in the dungeon run, they have to make him harder, so all of his minions just always passively have charge, no matter what they are. So that can be really, really challenging. So let's say it, Kristen, let's forge.
Let's forge.
If this is your first time listening to the show, we're going to imagine what Candlebeard would be like if we brought him into the Nexus. We're each going to build a kit, and it's going to be a total blast. Let's start with Kristen's kit this week. Kristen, the first thing we always talk about is role classification. So what role are you going with for Candlebeard here?
I decided to go with warrior. Now, certainly not a frontline warrior. Candlebeard is a very, very small little rodent creature. But I think his control and this trait that I've given him allows him to kind of position his heroes. And because of this positioning, I thought the tank role would be the best.
Dang, I can't wait to hear it because I went a completely different direction. So this is always when we have a ton of fun. Let's hear the trait for this warrior Candlebeard.
Well, the trait is his trait from Hearthstone. It's charge. Although he never says charge, as far as I know. Get on it, voice actor. That voice is amazing and I need more. All right, so charge. An inspirer of countless cards, Candlebeard comes with a buff. When given to a specific friendly hero, they are granted an extra button that allows them to charge for a set length in any direction.
Nice. So are you talking like... So this is an activatable trait for Candlebeard, and then he targets the person he wants it to go on after?
So, yes. So, say you're with a Tyrande, you want to give her a charge. You give her the buff. She has an activatable button for a certain amount of time. Once she activates it, she charges forward, and the first enemy she hits, she stuns.
Oh, nice. Very cool. That's like what we were doing in Divinity today, kind of charging forward and stunning straight up. That's really, really neat. So, what do you think the distance is on a charge like this?
Oh, man. I think the distance should really be based on how you talent into it. So base, it's pretty short, maybe half of a Vault. But if you add distance to it, maybe you could even get it up to Blaze levels of distance.
Nice. Are you unstoppable during this charge?
You are unstoppable until you hit an enemy unit.
Okay, cool. So it stuns them if you hit them, and you are unstoppable. Perfect. So nobody can stun you in the middle of your charge.
Exactly. You can't take away this buff. It's built into the kit. Just take away the fun of the character if you take away the charge.
I gotta ask the hard questions, Kristen. I gotta ask the hard questions. All right, let's talk about mounts. What mount is Candlebeard gonna ride into battle?
All right, I think the mount he would ride in would be a pirate ship. I think it would be, maybe it's not an actual pirate ship, it's just one he's crafted out of the junk he's found. Because as we can infer from his introduction, he finds treasures, and he considers himself a pirate because of that.
Yes, he's not a real pirate. He's finding his thing. Now, I have to tell you, we're going to skip to my kit right now for a second because I picked a pirate ship as well. I think he needs to ride a pirate ship, and I think out of everything we talk about today, this is probably the most probable thing that will happen in the game, and I think it needs to happen like now. Like, I think there needs to be a pirate ship mount in the game now.
Right, it totally does. It's just everyone loves the pirate fantasy. It's so cool. And then think of the skins you could have with it too, right? And you don't need to make it a full pirate ship. That's too big. Maybe it's like a miniature pirate ship where you stand on top of the mast. Maybe it looks like it's a stage prop. So you've got a little block in the center that you stand on, but the outside are two boards painted to look like a pirate ship.
Listen, we have floating coins. We have floating cookies. We have fart clouds. We need a pirate ship.
I couldn't agree more. You're preaching to the choir here.
We need it. Need. All right, let's hear your first basic ability.
All right, the first one is called Scarlet, Eternal Lover. These lines. Taking a hold of wax from the candles he has tied into his beard, Candlebeard tosses the mass outward. If it hits an enemy, the wax immediately hardens, trapping them to the ground.
Dang, stun machine right here. I see what you're talking about just kind of controlling the battlefield that way and how that has a warrior feel to it. So, what's the distance on your being able to toss this? Is this like a... I don't know. What are you thinking?
Let's go with a Muradin hammer throw. I like that distance. It feels good for a tank because you have to be close enough to make it hit.
Does it lob, like up in the air, you're throwing this and it goes like a Junkrat grenade up in the air like that? Or is it more of a straight shot?
It would totally be a lob. I would imagine he'd kind of misthrow it too, since he's just a little kobold. I don't think they have high athleticism, so I think he'd kind of whiff it, and it might just to the ground. But it always travels the distance.
So I have some more questions about him in general on your kit. So what do you think his health is going to be?
Oh, I want him to have a healthy amount of health for a tank, as we all do, right? That may be a little redundant. As a tank, I feel he should have a lot of health. But the reasoning behind that, even though he's a small dude, is not he's small, so he's harder to hit. But also, I think he's just covered in his pirate collections. Because in his picture, he's got candles, he's got a little pickaxe, he's got this whole outfit he's pasted together. So I think he would have given himself some armor to allow for being able to take heavier hits.
What is it with pirates and just putting a whole bunch of crap in their beards? Like any sort of pirate thing you see, like normally there's beads and treasures and, just stuff. And Candlebeard's got candles tied in his beard and he's got other stuff.
Right. I don't know if it was common among the pirates, right? The only beard stories I've ever heard come from Blackbeard, because to intimidate his enemy, he would put these smoking sticks that he would light on fire. So smoke would come out of his beard. And apparently Blackbeard was this big guy, 6'2", something crazy like that. And so he'd board your ship and fire coming out of his face and everything. So maybe that's just something we all grabbed onto and went, you know what? Every pirate did that.
Yep, that's right, because it's just that cool. I mean, I think it is that cool. So back to this basic ability. When the wax throws, if you miss, nothing happens?
Correct. It's just this little sad-looking lump on the ground. And I would assume then he would make a very upset sound, but that would be it.
All right, well, if he's upset, maybe he'll move to his second basic ability. Hit us with that one.
Yes, his second one is Snicker Me Whiskers. With the enemy. So I'm assuming you're using this after you've successfully landed your Q, but you don't have to. So with the enemy now waxed to the ground, Candlebeard excitedly scurries in, smacking them with the pickaxe he has affixed to his arm. This is a series of small, fast attacks. In the flurry, Candle Wax flies, coating the enemy he's targeting and slowing his or her movement.
Oh, more control here. I love it. So, first of all, it's so cool that he has a pickaxe for an arm instead of like a hook, right?
It's true, and it makes sense though, right? Because we could assume he's never actually seen the ocean. He's only been in his little kobold caves, and he totally would find pickaxes down there.
That's right, a pirate that's never seen the ocean. Now, the real question is, how did he lose his hand, or does he still have it? He's just pretending to not.
I think he's pretending.
Yeah, I would go with pretending as well. Confirmed right here on HeroesForge. Candlebeard actually doesn't have a missing hand.
No, but he has a sweet weapon covering it up. So, you know, you give and take. And nobody, I think all the kobolds believe him, right? They wouldn't pick up on the fact that he sometimes comes out without his pickaxe.
No, they'd get charged if they gave him crap for it.
Exactly.
I love this. So even more control of the enemy's movement speed. You're already, getting on top of your Q ability here with the stun. There's a lot of really great stuff going on. What's your third basic ability?
And the third one is called Oh Ho Ho! And Candlebeard gets excited. He breaks out into a jig that spreads his candle wax outward in a circle around him, slowing all enemies in the area.
Another slow. I love it. Man, 3-on-1 right here. Not to mention, you're giving other people your trait to be able to stun at the end of theirs. Stun City.
Exactly. So he's I guess a control tank in that sense. He's got the one stun, and if it's on a fast enough cooldown, he could totally be a CC tank. But for the most part, he's so small. He's really there to kind of cause that unnoticed chaos that can really destroy a team if you're not aware of it.
Oh, totally. And what do you think his toon size is in the game?
I'm going with Chromie size.
Oh.
And the only reason he'd be taller than Chromie is because of the feathers in his cap.
All right, so tiny tank.
Tiny tank. We need tinier tanks. I see Muradin, and he's a giant. We need tinier tanks.
You got it with Candlebeard. And what does this jig look like? I mean, this is a real challenge. This is really mean to ask, but I'm going to ask it. What does it look like? What does he do?
Okay, so I would imagine, so he's been underground his whole life. He's probably found centipedes and he's watched little bugs skitter around. So he does like this little bug skitter, and he probably shakes his arms up above his head and starts flailing them around. And since he's got candles that are lit all over his body, the wax, of course, goes with it.
Bravo. Very, very, very well done. All right, let's get into the meat and bones. Meat and bones? Is that what people say? What am I trying to say?
the meat and potatoes?
Meat and potatoes. Hey, listen. Sometimes you just say things. Let's get into the meat and bones of this. Let's get into the heroics. What is your first heroic?
Oh, the first one is Scuppered. Candlebeard's trait is now rank 2. Every friendly hero has the charge ability on a very short cooldown and can repeatedly press that charge.
Oh, cool. Very cool. So we talked about it at the beginning of the show, how if you face him later in the game in Hearthstone, you get in trouble. Same thing here. Exactly.
The idea is rank 2 Candlebeard has, a 5% win rate when you're up against him. You got a 5% chance of passing him if you have him at rank 2. So I want that to translate to heroes.
Absolutely. And with a passive heroic like that, I love it. What's your second heroic?
The second one is, of course, my personal favorite, Trigger Me Diggers. Pulling out his Win More card, Candlebeard summons to the field a greater warrior than he, the Sea Giant. This massive summon has extra damage and health based on how many times Candlebeard's trait has been triggered successfully.
Meaning stunning an enemy hero.
Exactly. And keyword being hero. So you got to make sure your team is getting those heroes. Otherwise, it won't add to this amazing Trigger Me Diggers.
Right, so you have to have a really specific team comp to be able to get in charge in there. Maybe even like a dive comp.
Yeah, maybe, right? Because then you could get deep, make sure you don't have any wall of minions, and there you go. Or maybe just your tank is what is like an ETC, right? Who can power slide in. You give them the charge, they hit it, and then they're out.
Oh, lots of charging. I mean, you could even use the charge. It wouldn't help you with this heroic, but you could use the charge defensively as well to try to escape, right? I mean, you're getting basically half of a vault.
Exactly. So kind of like Illidan, right? When you talent into being able to dive to the friends or foes, that makes that ability both defensive and offensive, which is arguably a necessity when you're going to dive that deep.
Oh, I love it. I think it is so cool. Okay, Kristen, sum up your Candlebeard tank build.
Wickedness must be punished.
You're too good. You're too good at summing it all up in just like one little clever statement. Mine is always like crazy long. Well, you know, I put it all together.
I mean, well, that's what it is, right? I'm a commercial. You're like that Food Network hour-long turkey cooking special.
Oh, my mother would be so proud. My mother would be so proud to know that her son was compared to the Food Network for the first time tonight on the 14th of January. All right, we're getting into the second kit here, but before we do, we have some people that we always need to thank, always and forever. We need to thank our wonderful supporters on Patreon. Patreon.com/HeroesForge is the place that you can help support this show and keep it rolling, and a huge thank you to all of you that already do. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you to everybody that has also rated us on iTunes. That also helps the show grow tremendously. If you listen to this show on iTunes, you can head on over and give us a 5-star review, leave a comment, and we'll give you a shout out on this portion of the show next time. All right, Kristen, we're getting on a whole nother train to Crazy Town here because I'm going with the support build for Candlebeard.
Ooh, so what made you think support? Did you start building first and then come to that? Or does Candlebeard scream support to you?
I think that we had a very similar thought here where, you know, Candlebeard really doesn't do anything in Hearthstone. I mean, he doesn't have a weapon. He doesn't attack with it. He basically is just the captain, and he sits back and he kind of, you know, controls the field like that. So you took that in an aspect of becoming a tank and giving that out, and so I'm kind of using that same idea to make him a support character with this trait. It's also called Charge. So the base fantasy for my kit is that we're going to use his hero power to kind of influence the whole thing. So I'm attempting to bring that same feeling to the Nexus with this passive trait. Similar to Brightwing's trait that automatically sends a healing pulse every few seconds, Candlebeard will pulse a speed increase to his team every few seconds. When this is passively triggered, Candlebeard will scream charge, and all allies in the area will have a speed boost for a short amount of time. The fantasy for this whole kit is to make Candlebeard a support character that is able to aid his team with his speed boost trait and healing abilities.
Oh, nice. So kind of taking that Lucio thing, but going, Lucio, look, we don't want to pick you anymore. We want Candlebeard.
Yeah, exactly. So same idea as Lucio, except the fact that you don't have to activate it. You don't have to give anything up to gift this. It's only going to pulse every so often, so you don't get to choose when it happens like Lucio, and it's not going to last for very long. You know, you can use it to kind of reposition your team, but you're not going to get this continuously.
Interesting. Okay, so same question with the health pool. Since he's got this pulse, he's going to need to stay close by, right? Are you thinking right wing healing pulse size?
Yeah, same distance away, and I think Candlebeard's health pool for his own personal health is going to be on the higher end of supports, less not on the lower end. So he'll have on the more health side.
Gotcha. And will he get the speed boost as well, or is that just for his allies?
He gets it as well, I think. He's inspired by his own captainness.
I think he would be. I think that's why he screams charge, is because he'd be right there with his team.
Absolutely. And he'd be riding in, of course, on his wax pirate ship or some sort of pirate ship, because we need, again, a pirate ship. So he's charging in on this pirate ship, and he's got his first basic ability. It's called Captain's BFF. So everyone knows that the traditional pirate pet is a parrot. But in Catacombs, pirates are hard to come by. So Candlebeard, the kobold, has to do with what he's given. When this ability is activated, Candlebeard will summon his best friend forever, a vicious fledgling, that he has named Fred. Fred will protect Candlebeard and soak all damage that is dealt to him while he's alive. At any time, Candlebeard can activate this again and send Fred to another friendly hero to soak the damage that they would be taking. Here's the kicker. Every time that Fred is summoned, the player will be able to select and adapt for him from the list below. This is you're adapting your fledgling here. So Candlebeard activates it, and as soon as you activate it, maybe 3 Hearthstone cards would pop up with some of these options. You can have your best friend Fred have more health. You can have him give a damage boost to the hero that he's protecting. You can have him do healing to the hero that he's protecting. You can have him reduce the cooldown timers for the person that he's protecting, or you can give that person increased sight.
I like it's basically talents, but you don't have to waste a talent on this thing. Do the adaptations stack?
No. So this BFF is going to, Fred is going to fly around you and is only going to be able to soak damage for an amount of time that he has health, right? So he's going to be soaking, then he's going to die. Then Candlebeard would need to summon this fledgling again to jump onto that hero again, or to stay on himself. And when he summons him again, he gets to choose a different trait.
Gotcha. So how much health are you thinking this fledgling has?
I don't know. Not a lot. I mean, it's basically a shield, right? So it's not going to be a whole heck of a lot of health, but I think it will be noticeable. You'll really have to take it out if you see maybe the fledgling changes colors depending on what trait you picked. So the enemy team would have to know, oh, it's blue. That means that hero has a damage boost while that fledgling is alive.
That's adorable. I love that he managed to find a little flying critter in his escapades through the mines. And I love this idea of the color changes based on what kind of a buff it gets. Now, it flies around you in a circle. Would that kind of put one of those clear shield things on you? Or it's just the little critter flying around that indicates?
I think it's like the size of a water dragon that flies around you. And I think that that's the only visual that you would need to know. And maybe you don't see it and maybe you pay the price. I think it also would have to be on a timer so that if you weren't attacked, you just couldn't constantly have a damage buff and be, Sonya taking camps with a damage buff forever.
Well, I mean, you could give it a timer. You could, but why? What would that wouldn't be OP? No, I get you. The timer makes a lot of sense, and it works really well with Water Dragon too, because it really makes you think, when should I use this? Probably shouldn't use it when there's nobody in lane and I've got nothing to shoot at. But when there's everyone there, then it's time to pull it out. Also, who would win in a fight, Fred or Lily's Water Dragon?
Fred.
Not the big one, her little dragon.
Good question. Fred.
I'm glad we agree.
There's no evidence to back that up. It's Fred.
It's Fred. It's always been Fred.
All right, second basic ability here. We're talking about one called Fair Share. Now, this is obvious if you know Candlebeard, which obviously you and I both do. So it's said that Candlebeard has found his fair share of magical treasure in these catacombs, but what isn't well known to everyone else is that he always divvies up the treasure to his crew so that they get their fair share as well, because he's not the best pirate. I mean, normally pirates would be like, Muppet Treasure Island, you guys dig that treasure up, and then I'm going to murder you all and take the treasure for myself.
I love that we've taken we've taken this little pirate guy. He's actually probably the most lawful good character to ever enter the Nexus in our imaginings. He is legitimately the best critter ever.
Well, he's got this magical treasure, and when he activates this ability, he spreads the wealth and tosses magical items to target friendly heroes, and these magical items are just overflowing with magic, so what they do is they return a portion of their mana to them when they get these items from Candlebeard. So basically, after all of that BS, this is just an innervate on a basic ability.
Perfect. So visually, we're seeing kind of like a Lily cup toss, right? Just chucking it out there. Does it go to the lowest mana hero or does it go to the closest hero?
I was thinking that you would target it.
Oh, nice. So you make sure it gets, and that would make sense too, right? Because what if you're on a team without lots of...
Oh, I think I lost you there for a second, Kristen. What did you say?
Oh, I think we're back.
We're back.
Okay, cool. So but it makes a lot of sense, right? Because if you don't have a lot of mana users on your team, you want to make sure it gets to the right person.
Yeah, and I think what if it was even a skill shot that if you missed it, it landed on the battlefield and somebody had to run over it in order to pick up that heal or that innervate, basically.
Ooh, I like that idea. I mean, this build is basically Hearthstone made incarnate in our tiny little Candlebeard.
So, speaking of Hearthstone, the next basic ability is called Cut Purse. That's right, Cut Purse. So when this is activated, Candlebeard spills cursed coins on the ground behind him as he moves. All enemy heroes that step on these coins will have the cooldown of their abilities increased the longer they stay in the coins. This is basically like a Stitch's poo, but instead of slowing them, it adds time to their cooldowns. I wrote this out, but I wasn't really sure how to describe what I was trying to say. Once they're not in the coins and their cooldowns are completed, the effects of this ability are gone and their cooldowns return to their normal length. So, for example, what I mean here is if we take let's take Vala, right? And Vala is chasing down Candlebeard and she shoots her hungering arrow and that ability is on a cooldown now. He drops these cursed coins as he runs and Vala's running over the coins. Well, that cooldown, let's say it was on 10 seconds. As she's running on these coins, maybe it just pauses it and it doesn't go below 10 seconds until she gets out of the coins, then it'll go back down, and it doesn't affect the cooldowns of her abilities for the rest of the game, only during that time if her abilities are on cooldown.
Gotcha. So you're thinking with these coins, they create kind of this wide trail that if you walk on, you're not necessarily stepping on coins all the time, but the fact that you're in that means you're being affected by these little jinglies.
Yeah, so I think it would be a cool thing to have to. I mean, it's an escape, so to speak, but you're really escaping in a different way.
Now, when you step out of the coins, is there kind of a grace period where your cooldowns are still frozen or increased, and then it drops it, or is it immediate? You're out of the poop, you immediately get your cooldowns back to normal.
I think let's just say, to make it easier, that it pauses your cooldown while you're in the coins. As soon as you step out, your cooldown returns.
I like that. That is a great idea. And how long do you think this little trail would last?
Not super long, right? Because Stitch's poo is an ultimate ability. So this is not super long. Maybe it's like a Caltrops length, so not long at all, but just enough to possibly help you.
Yeah, totally. If you're running away, right? I mean, if Li Ming can't pop you with her missiles as you're running away, there's a good chance you're not going to die today.
Totally, yeah. And chat has a really good point saying that Blizzard has said repeatedly that cooldown increasing abilities won't be added to the game. I was thinking that to myself today, thinking about, would that actually be something that would be fun to play against, be useful in the game? I mean, I don't know. And obviously Blizzard is on the fence about, well, not on the fence. They're very clear that they don't think it would be one of those things.
I think it would be a very interesting game mechanic and an imagination land where we can literally have anything happen in this Nexus. How much time would you add to the timers if you were adding time? Like, how fast would it go? Would it be 1 second, or would it every 2 seconds is 1 second?
Maybe every 2 seconds is 1 second. And how about a brawl? Let's get a brawl where we can have increased cooldown abilities. That'd be fun.
Oh, there we go. And then you could try it out without having to worry about the meta in the game. Yeah, that would be the perfect place to get a little wacky with that.
Let's do it. All right, let's get on to some heroic abilities here. The first one I have is called Ship's Cannon. Ship's Cannon. Candlebeard selects a large area on the battlefield that will be the target location for this shot from the cannon. After the target is placed, the core on the friendly team will transform into a cannon that fires a large shell at this target. The shell will fly through the air, and when it lands, it will deal damage to all enemies in the area and push them back away from the center of the blast. So this is like an ultimate version of Asmodan's meteor.
That makes sense. And how much time does the enemy team have to get out of this range?
I think maybe a good amount of time. I want Candlebeard to have some sick animation where he screams something in pirate and maybe throws down a pirate flag or something, and that flag is the area that this is incoming. And maybe the enemy team can't see how close or far away it is, and they just kind of have to guess it. Unlike a Junkrat ultimate, that the circle gets smaller and you can see exactly where he's going to crash the party.
Dude, you nailed it. That's what oh my goodness, you nailed it. Because then you can have this unknown amount of time, and maybe it's one of those where he can trigger it and it sets off. But as long as the flag is there, you know it's coming. You just don't know when.
Yeah, I love it. It's just a fun idea on that card from Hearthstone, Ship's Cannon. And my second heroic, talk about OP land. Give me your thoughts on this. I'm calling it Vanish. You're guessing it right now in your minds. You know what this is. So using the power of a powerful artifact that Candlebeard has found in one of his many treasure chests, he is able to make all friendly heroes in the area disappear. During this time, friendly heroes are not able to attack, and they must remain in range of this ability to stay invisible. So what we have here, I'm saying, is a Valera ult, but for the entire team. But the give and take here is that no one can attack during this time, and you have to stay in the area in order to not be seen.
Oh, interesting. So we're taking Gank Bush to the next level.
That's right. Maybe you can attack, but if you attack, you're revealed, or maybe that's too powerful.
Oh, okay, I get what you're saying. Okay, so this one, full erasure from the screen. None of that smoke BS, because that doesn't belong in our ults.
That's right. No, this is full on Tassadar Vanish.
I like that a lot. And I like that idea too. What if you attack, that person gets smoky, so you can see them, but it's still harder to see than if they had just stayed still and just waited. Just wait for the right moment.
That's right. I mean, and we're seeing, and I think the opportunity to play around with stealth is there now that the stealth changes have come through. I mean, maybe there will be a hero in the future that has true stealth like we used to know it.
Maybe, right? And even then, I don't think these changes have been too bad, because you can't hit them when they're in stealth as a basic attacker. You got to make sure you've got some kind of ability that'll pop it. And even then you have to aim it correctly to make sure it even hits them in the first place. But they're probably already aware of that. So it's this really interesting thing that's changed. And I don't think it's beyond imagining that they'll introduce a full stealth character sometime down the line.
Yes, I'm happy to report that I'm still dying plenty to stealth heroes. So the changes are good.
Yeah, that Valera meta.
Nova is what's killing me lately.
Right, her ability to drop down those illusions, right? They're really good at losing you.
Yeah.
Just amazing.
It's been crazy. All right, well, that is my Candlebeard kit. If I'm summing it all up, again, I'm saying he's using all of these abilities here to basically support his team, along with, the speed boost, being able to, dish out some mana for people, getting away with his cut purse ability, and then, of course, making everybody disappear would be a pretty good way of supporting.
Yeah, I mean, remember, does Tyrande still have that ultimate?
I haven't played Tyrande in a really long time, but I think so.
Yeah. I think she's still got something like that where y'all go invisible for a bit, but don't you also get a speed boost or something too? Like, it's a great idea, and I think it works super well in that group environment when everybody's on it. Kind of like Bloodlust too.
Yeah, it's totally a supporty feeling kind of deal. All right, well, before we can call these Heroes Forged, we got lots of stuff to talk about still. Specialty skins and dance moves. So I'm going to start out with my specialty skin this week. I got two ideas. One for Candlebeard would be French Revolution Candlebeard, and he would have a French accent. So he'd have all your favorite lines, Kristen, but in French.
Oh my goodness, I love this. Oh, okay. So would he be French peasant overthrowing the Bastille? Would he be part of the aristocracy? I mean, what part of the revolution is he on?
I'm going aristocracy. I mean, look at that hat.
That's true. And could you imagine if he had a little wig on underneath?
Yeah, the full on, yes. That was my first idea. My second idea was vintage video game speedrunning champion Candlebeard. Now, I got this idea because instead of a pickaxe in his hand, he would be wearing a power glove, and he would have a full-on, controllers tied in his beard, and maybe he's just got a really bad bedhead. That's his hair. I don't know.
Yes, that would totally work. And he's twitchy enough to make it happen, right? I mean, your reflexes, they gotta be off the charts. The speed runs are crazy. And yeah, maybe the lights, they're not candles, they're little neon glow sticks.
Something like that. What's your skin idea?
I'm thinking he would be Tesla Beard. Because technology moves fast, and Candlebeard is not one to stay behind the times. He has now tied Tesla coils into his beard that light him up with electricity. And instead of wax, he shocks people.
Love it. That's such a cool idea. Tesla Beard. Oh, man. Okay, dance move.
All right. We're doing a pirate jig. I think he needs to own the pirate jig. And today's factoid about the dances is that jigs are lively folk dances where you hold your torso rigid, but you keep your feet moving fast. So you could do pretty much whatever you want. They became popular in the 1500s and became very, very popular among the courts. Queen Elizabeth loved it. And of course, once you're popular in the courts, you spread across Western Europe. And suddenly everyone knows how to jig.
So, Candlebeard, is he popular in the kobold courts?
Oh, that's a good question. Okay, so he's lawful good. I would assume in that case, they allow him into the courts simply because of how good he is and the respect he has of the people, but they don't like him. They don't invite him into the inner circle.
Is it because he smells?
Maybe. I don't know are the candles scented?
They are Yankee Candle cookie and icing candles.
So he would smell better than the rest of the kobolds. They're jealous too. They're so jealous.
Here's a perfect opportunity for seasonal skins with Candlebeard, right? Summer rolls around, it's like the sandy beach candles, and then in winter comes around, it's like a holiday candle, cookies and stuff.
Exactly, the gingerbread snap, the sugar cookie candle, and then that's it. They go out of business, and Candlebeard has to resort to just regular wax candles.
That's right. That's the meat and bones of it. All right, dance moves are up next. My dance move is just basically a drunk pirate dance. Just a drunk Captain Jack Sparrow pirate dance. Make him drunk. And then when you think you've gotten it drunk enough, just, bump it up another notch.
So how are you? Is it like a sway thing, or is Captain Jack just getting down?
He's just, he's a sway thing. He's not, breakdancing.
Also, do you have a Captain Jack impersonation? And if so, what would some of his lines be if you did?
I do not, and I will not.
Okay. Curious. I may or may not have heard that Jeff knew Captain Jack Sparrow somewhat well in his past.
I know Captain Jack Sparrow, and he would not do it for free. Let's just say that. What is your dance move, Kristen?
The little pirate jig, his little dance. Now, it would be different from his little jig he does when he sprays the candle wax around. It would definitely be more. He's clearly practiced this.
Oh, you're saying that's his straight up dance rather than just his basic ability.
Yeah, his straight up dance. And I would imagine, too, he's trying to impress the Koboldettes.
That's right, because he's part of the court. That's right, we talked about this already, and that was the meat and bones of it. What can I say? What can I say other than that this hero was forged? Crazy, crazy, crazy. I do not think we'll see Candlebeard in the Nexus, but if we did, hopefully he would come with the pirate ship.
Breaking my heart. I 100% dream of the day we'll see Candlebeard in the Nexus. I think he would come in and it would revolutionize the Nexus because he'd show all of those characters out there what it means to be a truly good being.
As we all know and love, pirates. We don't think of them as good beings, but Candlebeard would change our mind.
Well, we can say, too, he's not technically a pirate. He's probably never even been outside of his tunnel. But the fact that he collects treasures, he thinks he's a pirate. And I think we should totally continue on helping him believe in the dream.
Absolutely. Santa Claus is real for Candlebeard, and we should keep that going.
It's the innocence of the world that we try to protect.
That's right. Oh, man. Yeah, but I do think that there's one thing that could come from this kit that could be a possibility, and that, again, is the pirate ship. So, Blizzard, if you're listening, we want it. We want a pirate ship. Not as bad as Janitor Leoric, but we do want it.
I'll take the other side. I want the pirate ship more than Janitor Leoric, but I don't play Leoric. I would ride that pirate ship, though.
Blasphemy right here on HeroesForge. All right, Kristen, where can people find you when you're not on this show?
You can find me at Dream Destroyer. That is DRMDESTRYR over at Twitch, Twitter, YouTube, and Instagram.
And what are we working on?
We're still working through Cuphead, although, oh man, did we make some progress last Thursday. We looked like some sort of pro or something. We made progress in 5 different parts. It was great.
Awesome. That game is hard. So good luck, have fun with it, and go check out Kristen's stream. It is a blast. If you're looking for me, you can find me right here on HeroesForge. We record the show live every Sunday at 12 noon Pacific, right on twitch.tv/Amove TV, because we are a part of the Amove TV Entertainment and Podcast Network. For more great esports and video game podcasts, make sure you check out Amove TV. Listen to Into the Nexus. It teaches me so much every week. It is a rock star show. You can follow this show on Twitter at ForgeHeroes. You can check out our website, which is heroesforge.club. And if you'd like to become a supporter of the show, again, you can do that on patreon.com/heroesforge. Thank you to all of our current patrons out there. And if you want to listen to this podcast, you can listen to it on any of your favorite podcasting apps, iTunes, Stitcher, Google Play, and such. Kristen, any final thoughts on Candlebeard?
I love him. He's my favorite. I've made no try to cover up the fact that he is my favorite boss. And even though I've lost to him countless times in Kobolds and Catacombs, Trigger Me Diggers just always puts a smile on my face. I think Flick Me Wicks comes in a close second.
Yeah, there's another boss that I'm going to have to remember that I do laugh out loud when they say their lines, but I can't remember which one it is. Some of them take it very seriously, but bosses like Candlebeard keep us smiling dungeon run after dungeon run. And when you look at your score and you see that you've done 48 bosses as somebody, and then a day later you're up to 200 bosses and you still can't beat it, Candlebeard keeps us smiling.
He does. Yeah, I'm in that current position. I still haven't defeated Kobolds and
really?
Catacombs. Not even once. But I've had over 100 some wins on my warrior.
You'll get there. You'll get there. And it'll just be that much better. It'll be that much better. Thank you, everybody, for listening. We're going to call the show there, and we'll see you all in the real world.